Wayne, thanks for joining me. Now, the company's Maiden purchase order with Orta represents a massive milestone. To start, can you just outline the company's progression since the third pilot spin with Burla Cellulose in early December to signing this Maiden purchase order?
Yeah, thanks, Alex. We've obviously been busy just organising the sale and shipment of that Nullarbor 20 to Orta. We've also been preparing the new Fibre that came from that spin for its onward journey to a partner. At a technical level, we've been busy assessing the results from that third spin and looking for ways to incorporate any improvements into the next spin. We've also been working with our partner Paradise Textiles to continue developing textiles from the fibre that came out of the second spin. That's the Nullarbor 20 and Nullarbor 30 that came from the second spin. That's been converted into yarn and now being converted into a variety of fabrics for some projects with a couple of brands. So that's pretty exciting too. And of course, in addition to our fibre work, we've also been working furiously over the last month or so to begin commercialisation of the Nanollose project, horticultural medium. So that's taken up a bit of time as well.
Thanks, Wayne. So this purchase order is a real step towards commercialisation. Can you just provide an insight into your existing partner network and how are you tracking towards further sales and additional partnerships?
Yeah, I guess it's an ongoing journey. I mean, we started this from the first spin. We made a whole pile of fabric swatches from that first spin, as you recall, and we provided those little fabric swatches to a number of fashion brands, and the feedback was really positive. And invariably, all of those brands wanted to get larger quantities for internal testing and making small collections. So that transition from providing small swatches to providing larger samples of fibre and fabric for those internal tests with brands sort of really started in the second spin, and some of that will come through the pipeline shortly. But with this third spin, it's gone right to that next level. So now we're providing larger quantities to specific brands for their own internal testing and their own internal collections and going out to market, I guess. So that's pretty exciting. And I think once they've got those larger volumes in and they've put collections out there to consumers, they'll get some good feedback. And that will enable us to get offtake agreements. And with those offtake agreements, of course, that will enable us to progress our own fermentation plant in India. And with that fermentation plant in India, our volume of capacity for production will increase. And of course, the price will come down. So that's the real turning point for us, is the fact that we're getting that traction with the brands, which will enable us to get the volume up and the price down.
Okay, Wayne, so the purchase order follows a collaboration agreement you signed with Orta in April 2022. So this development has been a long time coming. Can you just tell us a bit about Orta as a business and what scope is there to scale up this partnership?
Yeah, so Orta are our exclusive denim partner, and they're a major global supplier of sustainable denim. They supply brands, luxury brands like Armani, Stella McCartney, Calvin Klein, as well as a number of high street brands like Lee, Wrangler, H&M, Gap, etc. So they're a major supplier to a whole pile of quality brands. I think they've got a production capacity of about 35 million metres of denim per annum. So you can see that, potentially they could use a lot of our material. They're obviously a sustainably driven company and they are looking for sustainable options for their fibre. So we fit in really well with their ethos. So we think that there's huge potential there just in that denim space alone.
And finally, Wayne, our audience may not be familiar with the market headwinds that are currently swirling around the environmental impact of the fashion industry. So to finish, can you just give us an update on how these trends are supporting demand for solutions such as Nanollose's eco-friendly Nullarbor fibre? And how do you think this addressable market will develop in the years to come?
Nullarbor is really well placed at the moment. There's a significant development in regards to the pushback against synthetic fibres. We hear it all the time, single-use plastics, but that also applies to the textile industry. If you think that 2/3 of the market currently is using synthetic fibres, most of which are polyester, that's the same material as you make your Coke bottles out of, it's plastic, and there's a huge pushback at the moment against those plastics. In particular from the textile industry, it's not biodegradable, it's persistent in the environment. And in particular, the plastic microfibres that these textiles are producing in the marine environment has really come into highlight in recent years. So that is pushing a drive away from synthetics, and that's great, but there's not a lot of replacements, not a lot of alternatives for those synthetic fibres. And one of the main ones, I guess, would be cotton. But of course, cotton is not going to be able to increase its supply over the next few years to meet that growing demand for textiles. So most of the growth in the textile sector is going to come from man-made cellulosic fibres. So that's, the viscose, the rayons, the lyocells, and that's what Nullarbor is. Nullarbor is a high-quality lyocell fibre. So we're really in that sweet spot. We've got a highly eco-friendly, biodegradable fibre that is not going to cause any of the sort of problems that you see with synthetics. So I think we're pretty well placed as that demand grows to create the extra demand that Nullarbor will take advantage of.
Wayne, appreciate you joining me and all the best.
No worries. Thanks, Alex.